Joining me now is pilot and consumer attorney Timothy Loringer. Thank you so much for being with us. So let's talk about how common it is. We just heard James kind of talk about and really break it down into an analogy. But how common is it to just encounter severe turbulence like this when flying?
Well, it's very rare to encounter severe turbulence. I think many people who have traveled have experienced turbulence while they're flying. Most of the time, the pilots will prepare the passengers, let them know they're coming up on some turbulence, turn on the seatbelt sign, and then you ride through what might be a little bit scary sometimes, but not severe. There are three different levels. There's moderate and severe turbulence, but unfortunately, we don't encounter severe turbulence very often.
Now, it's been reported that the Singapore flight could have encountered clear air turbulence, the most dangerous type. The other type is convective turbulence, which is caused by weather. So can you explain more about the differences here and what causes clear air turbulence?
Clear air turbulence is very much more difficult to predict because it's not necessarily attached to any specific weather phenomenon, like a growing thunderstorm that might be developing in the flight path of an aircraft. Thunderstorms are known when they're developing. You can see indications of potential turbulence on weather radar, for example, in aircraft. And also weather agencies are out there predicting the flight paths of these aircraft and letting everyone know what the weather is going to be like. So it can be predicted. But clear air turbulence occurs in situations that are not easy to detect, not easy to predict, and they can be very severe and cause damage, as we've seen here with this most recent event.
So what is happening now to work on technology that might be able to detect clear air turbulence?
That question has been worked on for many years, and it's very difficult for them to detect it. And the reasons why is because it doesn't create anything in the atmosphere that, as far as I know, can be seen by radar, for example. So radar will see water droplets that have accumulated in the air, and also based on that can predict whether or not there might be turbulence in a particular area. But clear air turbulence develops from maybe movements of the wind and wind shear. Those things just cannot be seen as easily.
So, Timothy, we've seen some studies here pointing to climate change playing a role. What role do you think it plays, and where do you see this going?
The weather that's occurring with climate change is very unpredictable and much more severe than we have experienced in the past. So as these weather patterns and things change, we start to see turbulence, for example, or storm development, or winds that are new to us and new to the people who monitor these things, like the weather services and the airlines specifically, who are trying to predict what the weather is going to be along the path so they can keep people safe. But it's clear, I think, to most people who look into this that weather change is affecting the patterns of air where these aircraft are flying, and it's causing some issues.
And the really big takeaway here is listen to the flight crew's instructions, right? Buckle your seatbelt, stay in your seat when you should. Pilot and consumer attorney Timothy Loringer, thank you so much for joining us on America Tonight. We sure appreciate your insight.
Thank you so much for having me.